time to rise and shine. I'm Shelby Barrett, the STONED for the STONED Roadie Show, and it's time to wake and bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
Podcast 239, Wake and Bake the Morning Buzz, episode 115. Action. Alrighty then, fellow slaves and earthlings, looky here. It's Monday, October the 28th, 2024, and it's another Wake and Bake, and my name's Craig Reed, aka the Stoned Roadie. And this is my co-pilot, the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. So what are we going to talk about on this holiday weekend, I guess, holiday? Halloween was celebrated here Saturday, and I guess they're celebrated all this week, and Thursday, me and Kathy Gazzi are going to do a Halloween special, and I guess there's a lot of places that are celebrating and having trick-or-treat on Thursday this year. So what are we going to talk about this morning there, Griff?
Well, I have to get my sprinklers and turn them on Halloween, because that'll keep the trick-or-treaters out of my yard. Trick. I was looking at that sun behind you there, Craig, and the red eyes. You know, weed isn't the same as it used to be, man. Because I don't know, when somebody smokes weed now, they don't get red eyes. I remember we used to get, our eyes would be so red, we'd have to get Visine and put in our eyes to get, when we would go to school. Like if we would burn a doob before class, and we'd be all freaked out and our eyes would be red, and I know we smelled like it, but we'd have to use Visine. Your eyes aren't red, and you got TCH in your bloodstream.
Wasn't that Visine's catchphrase, get the red out?
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I mean, people don't get red eyes from weed anymore that I know of. Nobody worries about it. Remember how your eyes would get real red, just like that.
Oh yeah.
Sun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like that there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the eyes look like, two piss holes in a snowbank.
And I used to have this poster, and it had Goofy. It had Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, and they were hitting this. It was a black light poster, and they were hitting this water pipe, and they said, "Ain't gonna work on Dizzy's farm no more." And I looked at, if I still had that poster, I think it's worth like $2,000 nowadays. But you and I were talking about those amps in that Gary Rossington collection back there, and Don Evans messaged me on Facebook and was telling me that Hartley Peavy was talking to him, and I guess he was asking him about those cabinets, and he said, yeah, we built and rebuilt those amps for 25 years until we couldn't rebuild them anymore. And then I was asking Craig, I said, Craig, that mean those don't work? And he said, oh yeah, they probably work. He said, but there was a ton of those. And we were even using them 20 years ago, he said.
We were using them at the end of 2006 when I retired. We were still using those, but I think they've changed. I think they put all their stuff in enclosures now. I don't think they have a regular like amp line like they used to have. But yeah, there was a lot of those. But like I said, a lot of that stuff got destroyed in Nashville. But yeah, Leon had even used those 412 cabinets. He had different speakers in them. We had Gauss speakers in them instead of JBLs. But then he had two stacks of uh, three three. There was three speaker cabinets stacked on top of each other with 15s in them, and there was stacks of those, and then on each side of one of those double stacks of 412s, and then on stage right there was a stage right monitor with two 412s in it for Leon's bass. So he had a bunch of those cabinets up there. But yeah, we had a bunch of those cabinets in the Tweed.
And nowadays, and like every time I go to a concert, I notice it that the PA is like hanging like a belt. And Craig said, yeah, you can connect ever how many speakers you want, and they just winch them up and hang them from a beam, and it just looks like a big belt of speakers. And Craig said, yeah, they got Bluetooth and wireless capability with the amps built in them, and
yeah, the amps are all built in them. They're all computerized and they're all Bluetooth, and they just hook them together. You know, you don't have the amp racks on the floor anymore, but by the stage, it's all the amps are inside the speaker cabinets. Yeah.
as technology's changed, and now they walk around with a tablet, and then they get the sound all dialed in with a tablet on the stage. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's all Bluetooth. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can still screw it up, man. I've heard some people mixing or when they're up there running the board, and they still screw it up. You know, there's nothing like a good sound man. Because you can have a bad sound man today, just like you'd think you'd be better. You think it'd be easier now, but I've heard some guys really screwing up the sound here, even locally. They did a horrible job. It's like, you know, hey man, why don't you turn up that guy's guitar? You can't even hear it, you know?
It's
So,
just another link in the chain. If something goes wrong, the more things that can go wrong will go wrong. And
I know when you have electronics, you know,
oh yeah,
it's like, and I'm a technophobe. I hate that shit, you know?
when it's in there up in the air, broke, there ain't no pulling it down, fixing it during a concert.
Yeah,
It's
that's
up there for
true.
good. Yeah, you got to have spares and stuff. You got to have plenty extra stuff.
Yeah, with technology comes other issues. So, um, got a call from Leslie Hawkins yesterday, man. That was really cool. Craig sent her a check, $1,000 check. Wasn't it 1,000, Craig?
Yeah, I sent Gene and Leslie and Paul Welsh 1,000. Of course, I
Yeah.
sent Mark Frank 2,000 and Mark Howard 1,000 here a couple months ago. They were needing it. Mark had an operation, and Mark Frank was moving, so he had a couple thousand coming because we sold that book of Lacey's, and that went right to him. But
Yeah. So you guys, man, you guys are doing great with the donations and we, like we still accept donations. We don't push it, and then we try to sell stuff on here where we can pass on the bucks to the survivors. But while I had Leslie on the phone, she's always cool to talk to, and sometimes I got to pinch myself. I'm talking to Leslie Hawkins, and I forget. But I asked her a few things that you guys might want to hear. It's kind of like an interview of sorts by proxy. And something I always wondered about the Honkettes was, did Ronnie have a big part in their part? Like their backup vocals. How picky was Ronnie about the backup vocals? Is he the one that wrote all the backup vocals? And she said, well, for Sweet Home Alabama, that was already laid down, and they had to basically follow that. But all the other songs, he left it up to them, to those guys, to pretty much come up with all the vocals where they felt like backup needed to be put in. And then if Ronnie saw something that he wanted to change, he would tweak it a little bit. But for the most part, she said that they did all of that backup stuff. They arranged all that themselves. And then I was talking to her about Andy Tanis, and he was trying to get a hold of her, and I mentioned that he worked for Black Oak, Arkansas, and she said, "Oh yeah, Ruby Starr was my mentor." And Craig didn't even know. I didn't know. That's a Stone Roadie exclusive, that she was kind of like, I guess, Leslie's mentor for singing and stuff. So that's a new one. And then I also asked her, was Ronnie going to hire JoJo back? Because everybody's always asked, was Ronnie going to hire JoJo back? I heard, JoJo said she was coming back. No, she wasn't coming back because all the stuff that was going on, between her and Alan, and it just wasn't going to work. And so I said, was Ronnie going to replace JoJo? And she said, yeah, he was thinking about replacing with a guy, like a horn player that could sing the low backup stuff, and play horn too, in the horn parts for when they needed. But he was, I guess, talking to him in Muscle Shoals, trying to find a horn player. So can you imagine? Ronnie was going to get him a horn player. And nobody's said that before. That's something that Leslie mentioned, which is another kind of an exclusive. Then another thing, and I was telling Craig, she said that when they were at Nebworth, and Peter Rudge was kind of like back behind them when they were, on the stage back. He was kind of like in their ear, kept going, go out on the tongue, go out on the front, go out front there. And then Leslie was kind of like, I don't know, man. And she's looking at Ronnie, and Ronnie's like, no, don't do it. And then Peter Rudge, go ahead, go ahead. And then she said, if you look at her face, and if she looks like she's like got I'm eating a lemon look on her face, it's because Peter Rudge was trying to push him out on the stage, and Ronnie was saying no, and he's saying go ahead, and Ronnie's saying don't do it. So that was kind of cool, a little story from Leslie Hawkins. And let me see, is there anything else? Yeah, well, that's about it, but yeah, we had a good little talk. Always nice to hear from Leslie. Any more donations or anything, Craig, that you want to talk about?
Well, got this we had the bid on the camera from Danny Barron, this camera here. These are really cool. I've been learning how to use mine. Robert
Wheatley donation
helped me, and Kathy Godsey seen it and bid a little bit more than Danny, but Robert seen the podcast, and this is brand new. It's still in the box, and saw that Kathy wanted one, so he said he'd hook her up with one.
Yeah, he's another solid disciple, just like Dave the disciple.
Hook her up with another one like mine. This is actually a Model 3 number, and that one there, this one here, this is the 3 and this is the 2, and the 2 doesn't have the wide screen like that, but it's just like this 3 except for the screen, but it hooks up to Bluetooth on your phone, and it's real cool. You can put this on a tripod and then look at your phone through Bluetooth and
crazy
phone. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but it does all kind of stuff. You put it on a tripod. It's made for put it on a tripod, and this
gimbal
will follow you set it, and it'll follow. You can do a presentation and set it on a tripod, and it'll follow you around as you walk around. If you're walking on a classroom board or something, it'll follow you around. It's really cool. And yeah, this one comes with an external microphone, but this one doesn't. But yeah, this is like a $600 camera. This is like a $400 camera. This is a year old. This is a newer model here. But
And what's the bid up on that one, Craig? How much is the bid on it?
$100. Danny's got $100 on that.
Okay.
And it's a $400 camera. It comes with this little piece here is the wide angle lens for it, and then these two things here are batteries.
Yeah, so anybody want to bid on that? The Stoned Roadie at gmail.com.
Yeah, and that's and Robert, this is a donation from Robert to the or to these Forgotten Survivors Fund. So
yeah,
and also I just want to mention that he's bought a lot of stuff off of Cousin Figel. He bought that guitar.
Oh
off
God,
Cousin
yeah.
Figel, and then he bought the hat off of Cousin Figel. And I talked to him yesterday, and I learned that Cousin Figel bought when I used to build guitars. Oh God, 10 years ago, I built Survivor guitars. I sold about 50 of them, and Cousin Figel bought one, and Robert Wheatley found out that Cousin Figel had one, and Cousin Figel was willing to get rid of it. So yeah, Robert's buying that Survivor guitar off of it.
Yeah, and then he bought a piece of Hell House deck wood, and that money went to Gene Odom, and actually gave Gene some gas money to go up to Ohio here. And so yeah, thanks for that purchase on that too. He's a good dude, man. He's definitely a Robert the Disciple.
Yeah, he's got some people down in Florida that does that. I don't know if it was his kids or whatever, but he's helping.
I think it was his kids.
Yeah, got kind of devastated from that storm down there, and he's had to help them out. So yeah, he's gone through some expenses here lately.
Yeah, he's
got all kind of. If you're looking for any kind of electronics, just let me know, and we'll hook you up with Robert and see what he can't come up with for you.
Yeah, if anybody's wanting to, because he sells cell phones, cameras, drones. So hit Craig up. You can hit me up, edwg59@gmail.com. Craig's thestonedroadie@gmail.com.
And he's great with customer service too, man. He knows all about that stuff. Yeah. It's good when you have somebody that you can actually talk to and help you with getting it all up and running, and he doesn't mind at all. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, he's a nice guy too, and we appreciate him. We appreciate you, Robert.
He said he's been dealing in this electronic stuff for years and years and years. He's been dealing with this stuff since those giant satellite dishes came out, and he used to be in that business. And he was telling me about how he had these women that got these dishes, and man, they didn't have a clue, and he'd be on the phone with them for hours.
I remember those things.
Oh, those things were a pain.
Oh yeah,
you had to have them pointed just exactly right,
and they were a big eyesore too. They
were huge. They were 10-foot dishes. They were huge.
But if you had one of those, you were the coolest guy on the block. If you had one of those and a big ham radio tower, you were the shit.
Oh yeah.
But now you have to. I know a guy, he dug a big hole in his yard and buried his dish. That's how big it was. It's like a swimming pool, you can't get rid of it. It's just, they're huge. But yeah, we got a few comments and questions to go over here, Craig, and we'll go ahead and get started if you don't have anything else.
No, I don't have nothing down here. I just want to. I talked about my friend Justice Shaggerty and his wife Tina, that's in the in the hospital. She got some radiation treatment years ago, and it turned into some pretty aggressive cancer. So, just
Yeah.
want to throw some thoughts and prayers out to her. She's a real nice lady, and going through a lot of issues right now. She's in the hospital, not feeling real good. So,
Yeah. God bless.
apparently doesn't have long to live. I'd like to see if that doggone Iber, she's supposed to be on chemo. I guess the chemo has been making her pretty sick, but boy, they're saying that doggone ivermectin works better than chemo.
Yeah, that's what I keep
And they're
hearing. Is
hiding that
somebody?
stuff from people, and that doggone ivermectin actually is a cure,
Yeah, it's
rather than chemo's poison. So, but
somebody even commented in the comments for Gene to try that out, man.
yeah, ivermectin
And
is supposed
it's
to be a cure.
you can take a pallet full of it and it won't hurt you.
Yeah.
It's they use it for all kinds of stuff. They've been using it for years. You could buy it at the feed store. Yeah, it's malaria, treat malaria with it, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about it, but
I have some of it in case I get COVID, because I got COVID last year and I didn't take it then. But if I get to the point where I feel like they're going to want to stick a vent in me, and because Mark Howard had COVID really bad, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he was probably 3 months with that COVID and had it so bad. And I'd call, I said, "Man, how you doing today?" "Man, I'm getting worse," he said. And he goes, "The damn dog got out and I had to chase the dog out, and he was like getting out of the fence." And he goes, "By the time I made it back to my bed," he goes, "I thought I was going to die."
He looked good. He looked good in the pictures I saw him out there at the crash site. He looked good.
Yeah, he had if I can think about it, let me see. I'll hold my pad up here to mark it. He sent me a picture of him out on his riding lawnmower, and he had a damn tree trunk laying across his lap, and he was cutting it with a chainsaw. The freaking guy's got one leg, and he's out there on his riding lawnmower cutting trees. I'll see if I can find that picture and put it up here. You'll crack up. Yeah, he's a nut. That guy's a nut. And I forget who was telling me, but they said when they were on the road with him, they said that was one crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah.
They said, "Oh yeah, he was crazy. He was crazy."
I don't remember that much about him from that period, but I've heard the same scenario that he's crazy. Yeah.
he was kind of like a sober Alan. Well, I wouldn't say sober, but not as tore up as Alan. But yeah, he had that same thing going on, that same crazy gene, kind of like Keith Moon, that Keith Moon disease, where you just do whatever the hell you want. But yeah, we'll jump into these comments here, Craig, and let me see if I got anything else. That's it. Yeah, John says Craig is mailing out, most importantly, the checks. I guess, you said instead of, you're not mailing out the packages, but the most important thing is the checks. How you coming on those, Craig?
Yeah, I was. That's my main priority.
Yeah,
Man, that mailing those checks out to the survivors. Yeah.
And now that you got that done, you can work on the packages.
Yeah, I've been working on them. I've been opening. I got so many packages from Dave the Disciple. My God, he sent me so much stuff, and I'm giving everybody a lot of extra stuff. So when they get all when they finally get it, they'll go, "Damn, he was right. He
it's going to be worth it."
Because they're only supposed to get a coin and maybe a kazoo or something. Now everybody's getting a signed kazoo. They're getting a coin. They're getting The meats on heroin pictures they're getting all kind
A
of stuff.
sticker.
You know? Yeah, the more the wait the more shit you get. So just keep your pants on.
They're really
You'll
not
get your
complaining.
you'll get your shit one of these
But
days.
they're being very patient, Greg. They're
They
being
are
very patient.
they are. I'm amazed at how patient they are. I'm
Yeah.
amazed. Yeah.
Yeah, they're being very patient. They're being very understanding.
Well, you're dealing with the stone roadie. I got brain
Yeah.
damage, so you
But you got to thank Griff for cutting it off because, I thought Craig was mailing them out, and then I said, Craig, man, so how many you got mailed out? And he goes, mailed out what? And I go, the packages. And he goes, oh, I ain't done any of that yet. And I'm like, well, when are you going to do it? And he goes, oh, they'll get it when they get it. And I'm like, oh, shit, I better stop this thing.
I'll send them
I
out.
didn't want to overwhelm him,
It's been on my mind a whole lot.
How many do you think there are? Like
There's
20?
only 15.
15? Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's only 15.
And then somebody sent you some money for shipping. And
Yeah, a couple of people
and I told you to
for
keep my
shipping.
$100 or 50 or whatever. Somebody donated money to me, and I told Craig, use it for the shipping. But Craig's going to have you that stuff before Christmas. Right, Craig?
Yeah. I think shipping rates have gone up 3 times since May.
Might be.
I think they have. I said, when are the shipping rates going up again? Because they just went up again just yesterday or today or whatever. That's a couple days.
And
That's crazy. Yeah.
And then I sent some stuff out, and I was worried about people getting it, some necklaces and things, but because I thought that flood might have interfered with the shipping down here. But everybody's gotten everything that I've sent to them. If anybody I owe you something, don't feel bad about contacting me. I think I got everybody handled, but it's possible. It's kind of hard dealing with a lot of people and shipping stuff out. I'm at that post office all the time, but just let me know, man, and remind me. But I think I'm all caught up. But yeah, so Craig's working on it. Yeah, he's working on it. Brian Gibbons, Craig, that story about Ronnie writing "I Need You" is now my favorite Stone Roadie story. Yeah, I was telling Leslie about that. I was telling her, how fast you said that Ronnie wrote that. And I was asking her, did you ever see him writing anything down? And she's like, oh, no. She said, Ronnie worked very hard. You don't really know how hard that guy worked.
Yeah.
He worked hard, man. He wasn't like just sitting around doing nothing. That guy worked his ass off. And
He was always thinking. He was always his mind was always on writing songs.
Yeah.
Kind of got burned out. He was glad to see Steve come around because he was getting kind of burnt on trying to come up with stuff.
Yeah, you can imagine.
He wrote a lot of stuff in 4 years. He wrote a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it just
and they're all good. I mean, God, every song they put out every one of them is good.
That's like Bob Dylan, and he was interviewed. I think it was 60 Minutes, and they go, and maybe it was Dan Rather, and he said, man, where did you come? How did you? And he goes, it's like a wellspring that just was bubbling out. And he goes, I don't even know that guy that wrote that stuff. He goes, I don't have a clue. And then I think he asked him, well, can you sing all the words of some of those songs? He goes, no, man, I can't remember all that stuff. Could you imagine some of those Bob Dylan songs, trying to remember the lyrics to that? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's a lot of lyrics.
Yeah.
But really
that's why Ronnie's songs are so easy to remember, because they're just all so simple. There's nothing that takes a New York City lawyer to figure out what he's saying. It's just all real simple stuff.
And I heard a interview with Bob Dylan, and he was talking about how Neil Young stole that Heart of Gold song from him. He didn't steal it. Like he said, he goes, I should have wrote that song. He said, that was my song, and he stole it from me. He said, he copied everything about, he said, that was really my song. He said, I don't know how he wrote it, but it was my song. That's a compliment. You know, telling Neil Young, man, you stole my song. I didn't write it, but I should have. So, and I didn't get any backlash on the Keith Moon, Mama Cass dying in the same bed thing. Nobody could discount that, that's crazy if you think about it,
Yeah, I never heard that one before.
Yeah, and so if I run into any more cool trivia, I'll put it on the podcast. Becky Barrett, this is our Stonette, Shelby Barrett's mom. She's so cool. If I could say I wanted to have a mom, it would be Becky Barrett, because even though I'm older than her, but she's a great mom. She says, Jim Brace told me he worked for the same lighting company as Mark Howard, and they put that he was a sound guy on the stone at the monument.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. I was very
that.
confused because I swore he worked for the lights, and I looked on that stone and it said sound. I went, that I was wrong, but
you were right.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought he worked for Clear Light.
Yeah, so you don't have
I
any.
thought, because Steve Lawler, I thought Steve Lawler was referred to him as a lighting guy, because Steve Lawler was on the light company.
So you don't have that much blood in your TCH stream.
I remember some things. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were like coming out with all kinds of
you know
stuff.
what I said the other day? I was talking about amps, and I'm not an amp guy, and I said, yeah, you can tell that when the tubes they're good, they turn blue. When they turn blue, they're bad. I don't know how many people out there that are amp guys are going, that guy's crazy. When they turn blue, they're going bad. Yeah. I'm going, I said when they turn nice pretty blue, they're good shape. I
thought that was right.
That's when they're bad.
Because I remember having this buddy of mine, Rick Whitehead was his name, and he made all of our amps for us. He had the schematics to a Marshall, and he took like a little aluminum little box, and he put soldered all of these components on there and made us a little Marshall amp. It seemed like those tubes were going blue to me.
Well, it seems like that when they turn blue like that, they're starting to go bad. They're going bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody also said, man, because I mentioned, well, Craig, when they go bad and you've got that spare online, do you fix the bad one and then put it back online? And it's like, man, you'd have to take some tongs and pull that tube out of there. Those things are cooking hot.
Oh yeah, they're hot. Yeah.
Yeah, they're hot.
Yeah.
Okay, Carol, the cake girl. I almost said Kimmy, the cake girl, but she's talking about Kimmy must be interested in an Amish Skynyrd tribute band on the Polka Skynyrd. What? I don't know. She must have commented something about some Amish stuff, but I think Kimmy's mad at us for some reason, because she said something in here when I get to it, jumping our shit about something. Then Carol, the cake girl, whatever happened to the interview with Peggy Smith? Always nice to hear a woman on the interview on the podcast, just like the nanny and Craig's ex-wife. Well, Brian Gibbons was going to hook us up with her. I'll have a talk with him. He
was just talking to me about her just a couple
She has
weeks
some health
ago.
issues, Yeah.
Yeah, she does. And he says I was talking to Peggy, and he said I'm going to try to talk to her some more. But yeah, yeah, he's been
Yeah.
talking to her. She's been.
Yeah, I'll ask him. Well, he'll probably let me know. He'll send me an email because he watches all the podcasts. But yeah, Brian, let us know. And Peggy, we appreciate if you want to come on, we'll do it any way you want. I'll go over to your over there to Melbourne. I used to live right next to her. And I'll bring like you don't have to be on the camera or anything. We'll do, something where you just hear your voice, do a phone interview, or however you want to do it, whatever makes you feel good. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's one of those things where we'd love to have you, but if you don't feel like it, then we don't push anybody.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sure the fans would like to see Peggy.
oh,
You
oh
know,
yeah, they
yeah,
would definitely. She's got a lot of history with Skynyrd, man.
yeah.
Yeah, and she's got some stories that people would love to hear. Peggy, man, yeah, we'd love to have you. Brian, let us
Yeah.
know, buddy.
And when you were talking about Andy Tanis, I was looking through some things today, and I saw these old rooming lists that I have from the Torture Tour, 1975, and me and Joe Barnes roomed together, and Ronnie and Dean roomed together, and Gary and Alan roomed together, and Ed had his own room. Everybody had their own room, but Alan and Gary roomed together, and Gary and Ronnie and Dean roomed together.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, and then me and Joe roomed together, and
What
Raymond
is it's like an
Kevin.
itinerary that you have?
It was a hotel rooming list,
Yeah.
and it was 1975, so copy machines were around, but they weren't real common. So they would do we'd write out these rooming lists on just regular note paper with lines on it, and they'd write them out, and then you'd take them down to the desk, and they might have a copy machine. But there weren't no computers, or there wasn't nothing. You might be able to get them to copy something, so we'd copy them on those those sheets, and we'd handwrite them, and they're funny looking. But
I remember
Andy Tanis was on there. That's where I was going with the story, that Andy 1975 Torture Tour. Andy Tanis was
be damn.
on the him and Roberts. I forget his first name. We're in the same room together, and
Um, what was Raymond's last name? Was it
Raymond
Watkins?
Watkins.
Yeah, Leslie and I were trying to think of that on the phone, and she came up with Raymond, and I said, "What was the last name?" And then as soon as I hung up with her, I was like, Watkins.
Yeah, it was Chuck
But
Flowers and Raymond Watkins.
yeah, and I was telling her about how they wanted more money, and Ronnie fired him, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know anything about that."
Yeah, and
And I
there was
said,
also
"Ask."
a Chip Weeks. He worked for the band for a little bit. I don't remember what he did. There was a couple other people. I don't remember. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I bet Andy'd get a kick out of seeing that sheet.
yeah.
That copy machine you're talking about back in school when
They were called a
I think,
Xerox machine.
yeah, it's like a blue ink or something, and they spun it, and it smelled really good when they come in. But that smell reminded you of a test because
Yeah.
whenever they brought that thing in the room, that meant you were getting ready to take a test. And and when they handed it to you, it was still wet. It was like the ink wasn't even dry. You had to
Yeah.
blow it. You had to blow it, fan it to dry the ink on that thing. It was like a drum, and it spun around and it printed off of the master.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
still have some of those old lists off in my collection of stuff. Yeah, I saw them today. There's still a
it's
bunch.
still. We hadn't talked about that tackle box in a while, Craig. You know, in case nobody's been keeping
I'll have
track.
to. I'm gonna look for that thing here.
Craig has a Ronnie Van Zant's tackle box, and he remembered he sold a bobber out of there that looked like Goofy.
I
And
still have the bobber. The bobber's sitting right here on my desk. Yeah.
yeah. And so somebody sent that to you? Is that what they did, Craig? They sent that to you?
No, some of the Ronnie had a bobber just like this in that tackle box, and I had that tackle box, and I was selling stuff, and I said, I'm gonna sell that Goofy bobber. That's just a crazy thing. So I sold the bobber. Then after I sold it, I was sorry I did. But I hid the tackle box from myself, I guess, so I wouldn't sell nothing more out of it. But then I told the story about the Goofy bobber, and somebody sent me the link on FakeBook on eBay for this one, and there must be 50 different Goofy bobbers that they made. But this is the exact same one that Ronnie had in his tackle box. It's the exact same one. It's funny.
And you think he's got a Popeil pocket fisherman in there too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a pocket.
Yeah, one of these days, Craig's going to find that tackle box, and we're going to do a show and tell.
I don't think I took the pocket fisherman out. I don't remember.
I bet you
there's a bunch of there's a bunch of bobbers in there. I guess. Ronnie wasn't a bobber fisherman. He was a Florida fisherman, but I guess when you come up north up in here and just fish for bluegill and stuff, I guess you use a bobber, so
he had,
was trying different kind of stuff in his tackle box. He had that Popeil pocket fisherman.
Yeah, Gene says he remembers the tackle box, and he says Ronnie used to loan it to guys if they wanted to go fishing. Ronnie would loan it to them, and Gene said he used it several times, and he says he remembers seeing it on the bus, on the plane. He saw it everywhere. So that little tackle box has been around, man. Yeah, that's
I swear there was one place that he was fishing, a Darien Lake or one of the, because we played at a bunch of places where they had little lakes, and everywhere there's a lake, there's fish, because ducks carry the eggs in on their feet, and I swear I saw him fishing one time with that little pocket fisherman. It would have been, convenient,
right, yeah.
Rather than having a fishing pole on the airplane, just stick everything in a little tackle box.
But that, that Popeil, everything that inside the egg scrambler, and there's all kinds of stuff. And you would see those commercials on Sunday, the Popeil pocket fisherman, the inside the egg scrambler. I don't know if anybody can think of any more of those that Ron Popeil invented. Put them in the comments, and I'll go through them all. Yeah,
there was all kind of stuff.
Bunch of stuff.
I can't remember that stuff anymore either.
There was a ton of stuff. I mean, all I can remember is the
seemed like every week there was something different.
Wasn't there like a nutcracker and an inside the eggshell scrambler
and I remember those two.
And the omelet maker and just all kinds of stuff that Ron Popeil. And his famous phrase was "set it and forget it."
Who had the clapper? Was that a Popeil thing, the clapper?
I don't think that was a Popeil thing, but I remember the clapper. Yeah. You clap on, clap
off the clapper. Yeah.
Clap
on, clap off the clapper.
Yeah, man, I miss those times. Now everything's all screwed up and we're communists. I don't want to get Craig into a rant, though. Let me see. Brian Gibbons, speaking of Willie Nelson, which I was talking about how when I met Willie and he wanted me to tell him where a good place to go jogging was. And he says, he's singing, or he sang, I guess, in Texas. I didn't see it, but he was supposed to sing at a Kamala rally. Willie, man, what the hell's wrong, man? What you smoking?
Willie's singing at a Kamala
That's
rally?
what Brian said, man. I hate to hear that, you know. What the
I
hell?
can't believe that. That's weird.
Yeah,
I can't even stand to hear her talk. She
oh,
can't.
yeah.
You ask her a question and she says a couple of words and then cackles. Ah,
And then
gosh.
she had Michelle Obama on, and her and Michelle up there, and I actually got nauseated. And, you know, when I see that Michelle, it nauseates me.
Well, she did something where she had Beyonce show up so that she'd draw a grown bunch of people, and then Beyonce
She
didn't get
didn't
on
do
stage
anything.
and sing or whatever,
Yeah.
and people fucking rioted,
Yeah,
man.
they were pissed. Bait and
Yeah,
switch.
they had said Beyonce was going to be there and perform, and she didn't do it, and they got pissed.
Yeah, man. I mean, you gotta get Beyonce to get a crowd. And then she's talking about when somebody yells out, Jesus is Lord. Oh, that's at the rally, that little rally
Oh
down the
yeah, and
road.
then she says she prays twice a day. Do you pray? Yeah, twice a day.
Yeah,
She's so
right.
full
To
of
Satan.
shit. She's God. She is full of
But
shit.
I don't know what the last podcast Craig and I did. We didn't get monetized, and not the Saturday night special got monetized, but we said something on there. It must have had something politically uh, not savvy. Uh,
I think they just do it every now and then. Just I don't know what the
and
hell
then
is going
Brian
on.
Bodkin's been keeping up with.
I did 4 by myself, and I just tried to get freaking compromised and didn't do it.
Yeah, and
I said, I know I'm not gonna get monetized, so screw it. And I was smoking this pipe and
yeah,
just raising
so it's hard
hell.
to say.
Got monetized for every one of them, but one of them I think I didn't.
Well, maybe if I say it's all for entertainment purposes, this
Maybe
whole
that's it.
podcast, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. Everything that we say is for entertainment purposes and cannot be taken seriously. So that's our disclaimer. But yeah, Brian Bodkin sends me screenshots of our subscriptions, and they're up and down. Like maybe there's some fat girls on there, and they hear Craig talking, and they're like, "Man, well, I'm getting off of here." I don't know, but that's the only thing I can think of is the fat shaming. Because there's been quite a few people they'll call me and they'll go, Griff, can you get Craig to stop fat shaming? And I said, why? I said, I think it's funny. I mean, I'm sorry, if people can't take the truth. I mean, that's how I met Craig, laughing at his fat shaming.
You
So
know,
why would I?
people are gonna think I'm weird or strange or something, but today I posted on FakeBook that that I'm different than I seem to be different than other people because I don't seem to need to eat the amount of food other people eat, and here lately I've noticed that I haven't hardly been eating anything, and I've been you know, they say that we're evolving and we're turned into a different frequency, and we're kind of the Great Awakening or whatever. And I've been doing the magic mushroom thing, and that's part of that. It cleans your system out. I said, but I've been wearing the quartz around my around my neck, and listening. I've been telling Griff I've been listening to the different frequencies at night and stuff, and I think I don't know, something happening to my body that I just don't. I'm not hungry. I just don't require any food, and I think I'm transforming into the fifth dimension. I'm not getting any smarter. I'm not claiming I'm getting
Well, what
any
dimension are we in?
third. You're
Oh, so
already
you've
in
already
third.
skipped the fourth and you're already into the
I don't
fifth?
know. I think I'm moving up to the fifth. I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of stuff and trying to do it, but
I damn sure need to get out of this dimension because it sucks.
I don't know what's going on, but something's going on because I just noticed I'm just not hungry. I'm just and people and you try to tell people, man, just don't eat in the morning. Oh, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't not eat. I just couldn't, if I go over 3 hours, I get sick and all this and that and the other thing. You know,
Well,
I I don't know why.
you probably killed all those parasites and they're not hungry anymore because you're not hungry because you're not feeding the parasites. Those
I
black
don't know.
walnuts.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
You
I
better
don't
check
know.
your sheets and see if there's some worms laying in there in your bed.
Well, I had a bunch of stuff come out of me the other day. I don't know what it was, but I was kind of worried. I was going, my God, what is that stuff? I don't
Tapeworm, or
know. I don't know. It just looked all weird, man.
was it breaking off in segments?
It just looked weird. It was just like poison coming out of me or
Well, the last time you were doing those shrooms, you said the same thing. It's like,
something. I've been nibbling on the mushrooms. I haven't been really high dosing on them, but you know.
yeah, every now and then, Craig, I'll just
No,
say,
something's happening that I just don't have an appetite. I just don't require food. Like I just notice people they just require to eat. You only need to eat every couple of days, and that's what, there people are saying that,
well, once you shrink your stomach down, then you don't get as hungry because your stomach,
but
it
nobody
does.
can do it.
Yeah.
They say, "How did you lose weight?" I said, "I just fat." Oh, I couldn't do that. I got to eat. I got to eat. I got to eat. I'm not like that. I don't have. I mean, every once in a while I have to eat. Yeah, everybody does, but I don't get hungry like that. And people, man, that's all they think of. They get up in the morning. That's the first thing they do is eat, and then they eat, and they eat all day long. It seems like I don't.
Well,
I
people
eat a
need to
banana.
start.
I've been eating a banana about 2 o'clock, and then I don't eat. And I notice about 6 or 7 o'clock, I'll say, "Well, it's time to eat something," and I'll go, "Well, I'm not really hungry," and then I'll think to myself, "Well, do I want to fast?" And I go, "Well, I probably, should eat a little bit, but just
Well, you might want to pack on a few pounds for when the 3 days of darkness comes.
well, I just feel like I'm lucky when, when the shit hits the fan and there's no food.
Is it
I really won't need any.
is it 3 days of darkness or 9 days of darkness?
I don't know. I could go for a long time with, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you gotta work up to, you can't, because if you ate a big steak yesterday, or and a bowl of ice cream, the next day your stomach's going to be huge and it's going to be going, feed me. But if you wean
I
it
don't.
down into a little stomach, then it won't require. And another thing a doctor told me, and then this is a little graphic, so you might want to get the children out of the room. But I've told this to Craig before. The gastroenterologist told me, if you take a shit and it stinks, you've either got a disease like Crohn's disease or something like that, or you're just eating too much, because when you're putting that much food in your stomach, it's actually rotting in your stomach and it's not digesting. It's not digesting the food, so it's rotting, and that's why when you go in the bathroom, and I don't know how you ladies, if it's the same as you, but when I was working around all these big methane tank, big beef eating, you know, these guys were bikers and they had big old huge bellies. And you go in the bathroom and you can't even breathe. It stinks so bad in that bathroom, man. You know what I'm talking about, Craig? And
Oh
it's like
yeah.
then they say, "Oh, it smelled like somebody crawled up in you and died." Well, that's basically what happened. Is that you're eating too much, and it's so if your crap stinks, you eating too much. That came from. I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be one, but the doctor told me that. So, does your shit
Somebody's
stink, Craig?
no, my shit don't stink. Somebody said that Will Smith one time in one of them movies he made, they were in a capsule or something, and he farted. And it was so bad they had to clear the set for like 3 hours. It was so bad.
Probably had some of Puff Diddy up in him. Puff Diddy was in
I
there.
think it was Men in Black or something. He was in some capsule. He farted and they had to clear the set.
I've been around some guys working around some of these guys, man, and I'm telling you what, they take the burn your eyelashes off. It's so nasty.
Man, have you seen Jim Carrey lately? Man, he has done an awakening. God, he is spilling the beans on all this conspiracy.
Oh, is he?
Oh my
I have
God.
to check him out. What's he saying?
You know, why what happened? That we need, we need to, triple the amount of shots.
Well,
but
yeah.
but they're saying it's for financial gain. These six families that own the world, they just print money. I mean, it doesn't matter. They can, it just seems like they can, it doesn't matter if they need to sell all this stuff. They don't need the money. They just print whatever.
Yeah,
money
that's
they
the
want.
reason.
Everything's just a big fantasy. The only reason we don't have pay taxes because the government needs money. If the government needs money, they just print it. We pay taxes to keep us poor. That's
Well,
my
yeah.
opinion. That's why we pay taxes. That's how they keep us poor. They just tax us to
We're
death.
just cattle, is all we are.
Yeah,
and
we're
you're-
slaves. No, we're
Yeah.
freaking slaves. Somebody said, these people that complain about being slaves. At one point in history, every one of us that have had ancestors that have been slaves in some way, shape, or form, every one of us have had ancestors that
Elon
have
Musk.
been slaves.
Elon Musk told Don Lemon that. Don Lemon was, he was saying, well, how come, well, what about the slave thing, And Elon said, well, everybody has slaves. He goes, you were a slave at one time. How far back do you want to go? He goes, why don't we just let that whole thing go and pretend that, it's over and move on? It's these people, they keep, wanting to bring it up and wanting reparations and stuff. We were all slaves.
Yeah, at one point in history, every one of us have had relatives that have been slaves in some way, shape, or form. We're slaves now. We're slaves to the government. We're slaves to these six families that control this whole chessboard. They're just playing a game with all of our lives. It's crazy.
But Craig's only talking for entertainment purposes only.
Well, yeah.
All right, back to the comments before we get
I'd
off.
like to see songs Ronnie could write about all this stuff that's been, I can see the concrete slowly keeping, Lord, take me in mind before that comes. God, that's before we knew any of this stuff.
Prince was talking
really
some
happened.
stuff like 10 years ago, man, that was like, that guy even had some forethought, He was like saying, don't let the computer rule your life, and he knew. Well, Prince, I think they might have bumped him off. for entertainment purposes.
He was a great guitar player.
Oh, good
That's
God,
what
yes.
Eric Clapton, they said, well, how's it feel like to be the world's greatest guitar player? And he said, I don't know, ask Prince.
Is that what he said? Really?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, that's what I heard he said. He what's it feel like to be the world's greatest guitar player? He said, I wouldn't know, ask Prince.
Wow.
He was a badass. He
Yeah,
played
he
every
was.
damn instrument on that one record he did. He played every instrument.
Yeah, he's kind of like I saw a picture of him, it looked like Michael Jackson, just like a little black kid running around on the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a afro, Well, what a talented dude. And I don't think he was woke, even though he liked Oprah and talked to Oprah a lot, but who knows who's woke and who ain't. I can't tell anymore. I thought Willie Nelson was on our side, but Willie, man, good God. Tina Oresco, can you make something cool out of those Hell House Dockwood pieces? Those things are pretty fragile, and when I cut them, I got to be real careful, and I might even have to fill some of them in with, like, to keep the shape of it with some kind of a filler or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to make some cool shadow boxes with that wood in there, and it's got a letter of authenticity and everything. And when I get done with it, I'll show you, so you guys they'll be available. Steve Jones, okay. Whose job was it to smuggle the cocaine in the nasal spray bottle on the commercial flights?
Ed usually had that. That was
Oh, he
Ed.
did?
Ed came up with that trick, I think, from what I remember. That was Ed's trick. He had the cocaine in the nasal spray bottles.
How did he do it? Whether he put it in some water? Was it a liquid?
Just have one of them nasal spray bottles and just have water in it and just put cocaine in. They didn't think about that kind of stuff back
No,
then, I
really.
don't guess.
Yeah.
And we just put, Ed pull out that nasal sprayer and then pass it to you, and you just go, oh, that's cool.
I thought Gary said he was stingy with his drugs.
I just remember that. I just remember, Ed had that nasal sprayer full of cocaine, and he passed it to me, and I went, well, isn't that cool? And it went around the plane.
I remember that interview with Gary, and they go, so, what about Ed King? And Gary goes, yeah, man, that guy was rude, man. He had a briefcase with Slim Jims and crackers and things in there, and he would sell them to you, and he was stingy with his drugs too.
But Ed would think that was sneaky and funny. That's why Ed had a really good sense of humor.
I know he did, man. He had a great sense of humor.
That was his way of being a smart ass. He pulled out that cocaine ball. And say, here. That was just, it was being funny to Ed,
When you look at Ed, like right before he died, I mean, the guy.
Oh, he was playing funeral music.
Yeah, he was playing funeral music and stuff. I mean, if you look on his Facebook page, the last post was a funeral directory of music. It's like, the guy is a freaking nut and he's dying, Yeah, he had a great sense of humor, man. I was able to text back and forth with him and a little bit there, but I wish I'd have been able to meet him. John says, Griff, extracting skin formation. Yeah, every now and then, like if I get Craig when he's on a certain I guess some kind of a zone, and when you got him going, you can. When I first met Craig, I'd ask him like something, he'd go, I don't know, and then he'd be like, well, how come this and how come I don't know, and I'd be like, well, then I would change the sentence to another, and finally I'd get the question out of him, and then I got to where he's like, well, he ain't gonna leave me alone until I answer it, so I might as well answer it. And so here we are now. We're on the Stone Roadie show, and I get to ask him stuff all the time. You guys get to ask him stuff
All right,
too.
you're flickering.
Am I flickering?
Yeah, you're flickering. So
All right. Well, we probably ought
we
to
better
wrap
probably
this
wrap it
up.
up. You're really bad in and out. So
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap her up.
all right, that's been another episode of the Stone Roadie Show. Happy trails to you till we meet again, and see you later, alligator, at the Wild Crocodile. And that's a wrap. Cut.